India's biggest thought leadership forum. Changing the world of education. Franchise India organized the 6th Indian Education Congress in association with Amity University.
Change the World, which is the theme of Indian Education Congress 2016, is all about building a culture of research into our educational systems, which will go on to create the future that we're really talking about.
India needs to just break up its silos, There is no sort of metrics that we have created for a good student or a bad student. Good student can be an engineer, a bad student can be an engineer. So I think not that I'm saying let's bifurcate it, but I think let's have what is more important coming out. So, if a good student needs to be an engineer, and then probably another student who has a great skill needs to be a guy who understands furniture as a design category, it needs to go like that. It needs to sort of flow into that particular area. And let's make sure that that happens.
The first session talked about the business models that will surely prove to be a win-win situation for investors who want to make it big in the education industry.
You go to a typical school with 10 crores in revenue. 10 crores is not a small number. It's a decent revenue sized business, but you have very rudimentary finance and accounting, budgeting systems, cash flow management systems. And if you go into the classroom, I'd say that data is virtually absent. It's nearly going back 100 years ago when medical care was just about care. Someone was sick, would get into a caregiver's center, and people would wing it. People would figure it out. They really didn't have either a treatment plan or a curative plan. And that's where education is, unfortunately, today.
Education, unlike many other sectors that we come across, have a social impact kind of built in. Whether you wish to target an economic return or you don't wish to target an economic return, unless your heart is in the right place and you're in that line of work for the right reasons, the economic return will not come.
Whenever we are selling a service, a school, whatever it is, there has to be something tangible which the customer is buying. And if we cannot define it, if we can only define it as smiles on the faces of children and their enthusiasm, again, which cannot be measured, then that fundamental definition of what you're delivering as a service, this is not, a concrete good that you've purchased, it's a service you've purchased. Unless we find a way to define what impact is, be able to measure it and be able to demonstrate it, I think that's what holds back scale across the spectrum. It's not just a challenge for the affordable private schools. It holds everyone back from scale, because I think eventually what is going to scale in education is impact-proven, impact-based model.
The problem with current models of educational entrepreneurship, and I know a lot of them, is that they're primarily dealing with compliance to stupid government regulations. And that is why all the misery. The reason is, and it is very interesting, I don't know why these people spend so much money but don't have the act of courage to go into first what is education. So first let us try to see what is the model of education that we need, and scaling is essential because each individual is unique. So there is no mass manufacturing factory model at all.
The number one area of investment that any expenditure that any parent would make besides staples is education. And that is India for you, right? And given that level of interest, enthusiasm, and wanting to invest, recognize that it's not just rational decisions that will drive parents, it will be emotional decisions as well. Once you have recognized all of this, building scale is certainly possible. There are enough success stories that you can pick up and replicate for scale. And I think that's the positive message on behalf of the panel.
Neer dhalta bhala, sadhu chalta bhala. Water, as long as it's in movement, in change, it gets oxygenated. And that's good for the water. And a good sadhu is someone who's forever on the move, not just physically, but through his mind. This process of change always is good. And you must forever review to bring about changes necessary for improvement to address the needs of the times. And therefore, in education also, we need to do the same thing.
1.5 million schools, which is about 15 lakh schools. It's one of the largest education systems in the world. But if we look at it in terms of qualitative aspects or in terms of how our students are performing on international assessments, we are actually doing very poorly on an average. So that shows that we need a whole hog review of the way we are doing school education.
Everybody connected with education have to be made conscious of it and consciously take the responsibility for our younger children to bring them up with quality education.
The next session discussed the importance of taking the franchise route as en route towards expansion in the education sector.
India's got a very, very young population. We keep talking about the demographic dividend. And with over 570 million people in the 0 to 24 age bracket, it presents a fantastic opportunity for educators and educational organizations, not just to deepen access, but to look at quality education, democratization of education, which is being led wonderfully well by some of our digital counterparts who are doing a tremendous job in the democratization of education via the digital medium.
Small entrepreneurs, they have limited resources. They have big dreams, but limited resources, limited skill, experience, and so on and so forth. For them, getting the license to use a brand from like day one is a huge benefit. Shorter time to launching the business. Imagine if you have to start your own business, all the research, the prototyping, the proof of concept, etc. Through franchising, you can be in business in less than a month.
We started almost 16 years back with a small investment, with no knowledge of the preschool business, no idea, but lots of fascination towards education. As a result, we had very few admissions in our first year, but we never lost our courage. After running first school successfully, almost for 5 years, we started second and then third. And we have never thought of, entering into franchising business. We were very happy in running our preschools, but some of the parents and our friends approached us to start with us and forced us to think about franchising, and that is the reason we entered into franchising business. Then after almost 10 years of rich experience in the industry, we launched our preschool brand Sanford in 2009 December. Now we have 106 preschools and 5 K-12 schools running successfully in different parts of the country. I can say franchising is the most powerful recipe in the world to expand your business.
Some of my co-panelists have already spoken about it, but the major reason is as you start agglomerating schools, as you start doing 10, 15, 20 schools instead of single schools, which is most of the private education industry as it is today, you have more opportunities to invest in research and development, in curriculum, in pedagogy, and really have the ability to adapt the sort of education that you want to provide to the student to be contextualized to the modern day.
We understand now that the benefits of franchising are much, much farther than what we really understand now. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for having us.
We have been really fortunate to actually build a business where we can actually capture some of this opportunity and create educational access and educational quality to reach out to the millions of consumers spread all over the country. And one of the mediums that we have used to reach out to our consumers and create more preschools and create more schools is the franchising medium.
The Indian education system at the moment is going through a huge transformation and transition, and it is towards the betterment. in terms of access, in terms of gross enrollment ratio is going up, lot of best universities are coming up, private-public partnerships are coming up. To achieve excellence, I always look at having academic innovations, industry integration and internationalization, which can really help education system coming up.
Stay tuned for more invigorating sessions and the much-awaited Indian Education Awards 2016. The Indian Education Congress 2016 not only saw industry veterans deliberate, but also the bright young sparks who shared their knowledge and innovative ideas. The next session was all about new age disruptors.
There are multiple vendors. There'll be school suppliers for books, uniforms, and all the vendors are generally crowded. You stand in long queues and waste a couple of hours of your precious time. And they are limited inventory. What happens is, after standing in queue for maybe 1 or 2 hours, you realize that the book that you're looking for is not there. And that's when your day is spoiled. It's a very time-consuming process again. So what's our solution? Our solution is an online marketplace where everyone can come, order their school supplies, and we get it delivered to their home. It is convenient. Traditionally, you have to look for the timings of school store or a bookstore. But here you can order at the convenience of your home, office, anywhere 24/7. It is one-stop shop, so you do not have to go to book suppliers or uniform supplier or stationery supplier differently. You can order anything and everything that your child would need from myschoolteacher.com.
The student can browse, select the tutor, book a session. They can do everything themselves, or they can fill out a form giving the details, and we will select a tutor, or they can just call us and we'll get them a tutor. All across India, we are today giving 1 hour of free tuition to any student who contacts us. In this, again, we are working on a marketplace model. The first hour the company pays for, we pay the tutor a limited amount for that. After that, it is between the student and the tutor. We keep a commission. Again, we all throughout a marketplace model, we keep a commission varying between 25% and going down to 15% as a tutor does more tutoring with the same student. That helps the problem also of a tutor being discouraged of always giving that, keeping with a student for a long time, and always having to give us the same cut.
Have you ever wondered what an average Indian parent has to go through during their kids' nursery school admission? Personally, for me, it was one of the toughest tasks to go through. For applying to 28 schools, it took me 20 working days. So the problems I faced during that time was lack of awareness of neighborhood schools, process of online-offline process of applying to schools, and multiple forms for multiple schools. We also validated the challenges faced by schools and found out that schools have challenges while manually sorting off forms. There are lots of queries and crowd during admission time. Then there are certain new schools which are largely unknown because either they are new or are located little away from the main streets. So that's where we have come up with Clevermind. Clevermind provides a solution wherein parents can search for their neighborhood schools. They need to fill only one master form and can apply to multiple schools.
First thing is that any educator, when it comes on NCHET's platform, here we charges on basis of 2 models. One is the usage fee and the second one is earning royalty. In usage fee, an educator has to pay ₹10 to conduct a live class session. In just ₹10, he can teach approximately 20 students in a class and he can conduct a class for at least 2 hours. And we charge ₹100 to add a course in a marketplace.
And what typically schools have done is they have outsourced this burden of activity-based learning to the parents. Now parents run around gathering these components to make these projects, to conduct these activities. That's where we are coming in. So we provide these curriculum-based, do-it-yourself kits which you can order online, and we dispatch it to your home, and these with methodology sheets and evaluation sheets, and your kids can assemble these projects and submit to the school, and as well as learn science, maths, other subjects experientially hands-on.
I am here to present education resource collaboration application, which helps students and parents to collaborate during the studies. So what we have created is the requirement of automation of academic processes.
Essentially what we are talking about, what is this business all about? Storywalkers is in the business of imagination and storytelling ecosystem. So how do we put it together? There are 3 core subjects here: math, English, and environmental studies. What is exactly our play? It is more than what I'm talking about today is in very definite areas that we can actually engage with. For example, in the area of technology, where you motivate children to go out and play more and reward them for what they naturally do by creating an ecosystem behind it. And in wide areas of entertainment, broadcast, publishing. Essentially, the way we want to do this, the first question here is, who knows about these characters? Not yet. So our go-to-market is all about employing the power of storytelling through school network. So these characters are going to come alive because 500K students are going to be part of this.
We are India's largest scholarship network with only one vision: to help students to get scholarships. And as simple as it is. Students create profiles on Buddy for Study platform with sharing their information like gender, class, region, category, state, etc., etc. And then as per the profiles, we match with the opportunities available, all eligibility criteria of thousands of scholarship, and provide them a recommended scholarship program.
In India, this is what the beauty is, that there are pockets that are doing fabulous work, but that pocket doesn't get highlighted. So a platform like this brings everybody together to really share what everybody is doing.
A lot of the edtech startups today are trying to bring technology in a process that's already broken. So perhaps they need to think about the fundamental process first and how teaching learning is happening in schools, and then try to bring technology in.
The young people you have will fill the skills gap for the whole world if you get it right. And I can see there's a movement towards that, and that's where I think the direction is absolutely right.
By 2030, India will have the world's largest workforce. So we'll be the workforce supplier of the world. And if India has to become the workforce supplier of the world, we need to impart the right sort of skills, training methodologies, learning outcomes built into our own education system, which will deliver the right sort of learning outcomes for kids to become the leaders of tomorrow, not just for India, but across the globe.
It was now time to recognize excellence in the sphere of education.
We will be looking at the first set of awards.
The Indian Education Award 2016 had a glorious lineup of the best in the business.
K-12 School Chain of the Year National. The winner is MET International Schools. They believe that excellence is not a destination, it's a journey that never ends. MET International Schools winning the K-12 School Chain of the Year National. And our last category in this set, Early Child Play School Chain for National. Kidsy Z-Learn Limited, ladies and gentlemen, is the winner for Early Child Play School Chain, the country, Kidsy Z-Learn Limited. Well, the simple mantra is where kids love to learn.